Hey, friends, welcome back to What Couples Want. If you're new here, this is the podcast where we don't just talk about weddings, we talk about how couples are really making decisions, what they're asking, what they're hesitating on, and what all of this tells us about where the wedding industry is heading. This week is one of those weeks where nothing feels flashy, but everything is shifting. So let's get into it.
Today is February 5th, and if you're in the wedding industry, you obviously can feel something is coming. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, which means proposal season is about to spike. About 200,000 proposals are going to happen in literally a single weekend. Everyone's going to be focused on engagement rings, inquiry volume, and we want to talk about the signals that we're seeing that are actually shaping 2026 because the shift isn't really loud and it's already happening.
This episode isn't trend forecasting for fun. It's about how couples are behaving differently, how platforms are changing the rules, and how expectations are getting more layered emotionally, ethically, and operationally.
Let's start with discovery because this one really changes everything. On February 3rd, The Knot Worldwide rolled out this first integrated app inside of ChatGPT. So this feels like the official end of the keyword era.
Couples aren't typing photographer near me. They're uploading Pinterest boards, screenshots, full on vibe references. And then the AI is matching them with vendors whose portfolios actually read the same way visually and contextually.
It's also compressing your reviews into fast summaries. Trust gets built in literally seconds and not hours. This isn't discovery anymore. It's more of this like orchestration. If your brand identity isn't readable to the machine, you have clear positioning, you have consistent visuals, defined language, you may already be feeling invisible.
With AI like condensing the consideration phase down to just a few seconds, like what do you think vendors should audit first?
They should be auditing the look and feel of their website. Yes, you got to have those like bang on images, but are you having the alt text that is really apparent to what that photo is? Is it
Mhm.
matching the vibe? Because people are typing in vibes and images into Pinterest. Is it kind of syncing up in a way? So I think really like having a second look at your website is pretty important.
I agree. It's funny. We were talking to a company the other day and we almost had to like convince them why they should upgrade their website. The first impression is becoming shorter and shorter. It used to be however many seconds long, and now you could completely get bypassed by all these AI engines if you're not aligned exactly with who you are as a brand.
Yeah, for sure. Engines, and it's also people that are making that first impression as well too. It's like the two like half a second. That's why branding is so important and figuring out like the tone and the vibe and the aesthetic of how you are as a professional.
Mhm.
That's the first gateway that people are really taking in when they're learning about your business. So making sure that this is really honed in is incredibly important.
Branding is much more than just fonts and colors. Like, what would you say is like dimensions of what a brand consists of?
It's the feeling that you want people to get when they first hop onto your like website or Instagram. How are you talking to these people? It's just not color. Design a bunch of logos all the time. I tell my clients all the time, yeah, the logo is important, but I feel like your colors are more important than anything too. Colors are so important. Type into Google the psychology of colors. Blues have that feeling of just calmness. Red is like very powerful. How are you integrating all of these colors in and making these people feel some sort of way when they're landing onto your website or your Instagram?
It reminds me a lot of what marketers have been talking about with brands about world building, you know?
I love world building so much.
Me
Uh,
too. Mm.
there's this artist that I follow. So she makes self-defense toys, but they're like so cute and she world builds them. So there's like a taser, but it's in a frog shape and the frog is like has its own star sign, it has its own personality, and there's this stabbing mechanism that's in the shape of a cute pig and this pig has a personality too. It's a giant world building thing and she does it so beautifully. Let me
Love this. We should do some more
oh, yeah.
building.
It's called Tiny Protectors. She's from Vegas, but she just started as like making drawings in her bedroom and she just
Oh.
built this $1 million industry of just self-defense things. But yeah, we should world build as well. But I'm just thinking like, how do we world build? I
Well,
guess
we
it's
did have that idea for like a rat day outfit after a wedding.
yeah, I think that's such a good idea. We should probably touch base on that.
Yeah, let's revisit that one. So let's talk about service menus because there's a shift that's not theoretical anymore. Day of coordination is currently being phased out, and the baseline is moving towards wedding management. Now, wedding manager is a little bit more than a day of coordinator. Think about it as in between a wedding planner and a day of coordinator. They usually show up between 2 to 3 months before your event after you've already booked the flowers and the venue, and they just take over communication of already booked vendors, create the full final master timeline, and provide design protection to make sure the couple's vision is executed without any logistical friction.
So Gen Z is now 51% of engaged couples, and they're just really not buying into the idea that you can protect this $80,000 design or like a complex timeline or a 12-hour window of the actual day. They want like that design protection, strategic leadership, someone that's embedded months before their wedding. And like that obviously makes sense for sure. I need someone to just kind of coordinate everything before. Like, I mean, the day of is just way too chaotic, even just for one person. Like, it's too much.
Yeah, I can only see that working if you're a very organized couple. But even still, if you're organized, handing things off the day before is just sounds like a logistical nightmare. If you're still positioning yourself as a I show up and execute vendor, you're missing how people are making decisions now. Couples are risk aware, they're paying for prevention, not cleanup.
Let's talk aesthetics for a second because something big is happening here too. The era of warm brass and romantic gold is ending.
The 26 look is cooler, sharper. Designs are calling it inox. The stainless steel, almost futuristic feel, kind of celestial vibes. We're
Ooh,
yeah,
we
which
love
actually Kim and I are incorporating that in our next brand shoot. So excited.
Ian. Can't wait to see you.
Yes, can't wait to see Ian. We're seeing hexagonal cutlery, which is like a hexagon, chrome and red marble bar carts, sanded steel finishes on custom bars and floral vases.
It's a reaction. Couples are pulling away from the softness for the sake of just softness. They want contrast, intention, and a little bit of edge. And at the same time, we're seeing the rise of things like cabbage crush, sculptural brassicas treated like art. It's not chaos, it's curation with personality. I'm just typing in cabbage crush trend here. Okay, so it's literally just a bunch of cabbage heads displayed on the table.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, the last style shoot that we were at, we saw like eggplants and everything like that too. I really like the eggplant look.
That was cool.
This one too.
Especially like
So
the deep colors. Mm.
yeah, deep colors. So maybe just bringing in this like vegetation is starting to become a trend that we're seeing a lot. I'm here for it. I like it. It's different.
I've seen too, like where designers will put oranges and lemons and limes as part of like the floral bouquet as well. And it just looks so chic. I mean, it's unexpected. It's a delightful surprise, you know?
At my wedding, I'm gonna have a bunch of durians displayed on the fucking table. You
What's a
don't know what a
durian?
durian is?
No, tell me. What's a durian?
It's the world's most stinkiest fruit, and it looks like a ball with, like, spikes all over it, like, it's scary looking,
Oh,
and
that's
it's
cool.
huge. It's huge. It's smelly.
It's giving nautical vibes in my head. Is that where you're
Okay.
going with since you guys like got engaged while scuba diving?
No, I was
Oh.
just kidding. Why do you think couples are rejecting this, like, over-polished filler aesthetic that we're so used to seeing?
I think there's two reasons. I think one, it's the millennial weddings were trended so towards like maximalism and just gaudiness for the sake of gaudiness. Whereas I feel like weddings now, it's not simple, but details are more intentional. So there's not just like, hey, we have this linen for the sake of this linen. It's more like I picked this linen because the particular pattern goes back to my family's heritage and something like that. You know, details are put in intentionally, otherwise they're just left out.
I agree with that too. And I
Mhm.
feel like the over-polished thing is, like, something that we've been seeing all the time, and maybe people are just bored and want something different now.
I mean, I know I'm bored whenever I go to a traditional wedding.
Yeah.
Bored. I
Bored.
almost like kind of want to leave early.
Rude.
Truthfully, I-
Rude.
I've done it. So I'm sorry. I don't know.
It's
So our time on this earth is so limited. Yes, you're there to celebrate someone else, but if that person is not being intentional with their time, then should you be intentional with your time as a guest? I don't know. That sounds really rude.
Yeah, I don't know. There's different parts of it as well too. Some people get married just because they're getting married and they also just like don't really have any personalities or something that sticks out to them. So they just kind of go with like the templated, like templated one or template two and just go with that. It's not a lot of people think in those certain ways. And like wedding planning is so hard to just to kind of think of all these like little detailed designs.
Mhm. 'Cause, I mean, think about even your own wedding. Even though it's far out, you're still even now thinking about small details that you'd like to incorporate then that are meaningful to both you and your fiancé.
That's true. But maybe our brains just think a little bit differently when it comes to events, though. You're an
Maybe.
events queen.
We both are.
No, you are. Caroline, like, thinks of the most amazing little details of, like, little events and, like, how to make it better. So, I think that's just, like, the way your brain works too.
Thank you. Actually, so here I'm at my Airbnb and I'm thinking about doing an event here in Charleston with wedding vendors and local influencers and stuff like that here. And I'm already thinking about details about that, even though it's probably not going to be like till April or May or something like that. But yeah, I do enjoy that.
That'd be so cute. You should definitely do something like that.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
like a little community night or something. Okay, so we've got another massive shift. The ethics are now algorithmic. And what that means is the Not Worldwide, Zola, and Pinterest have committed to stopping promotion of venues that romanticize slave plantations. And we are here for that.
Whoa. Okay, so these venues are being actively de-indexed. Certain languages is no longer allowed, and here's the part that people aren't talking about. If your portfolio and content are heavily tied to those values, your visibility can drop too.
Platforms are prohibiting the use of words like charming or elegant when describing properties with a history of slavery. And vendors who frequently work at these locations may see a decline in their own visibility if their content is linked to these venue pages. Ethics aren't just personal values anymore, they're baked into the algorithm.
That's crazy. I have yet to hear about this. And well, Caroline used to live in Charleston. She doesn't live there now, but for a very long time. And obviously, you see so many plantation weddings. Um,
It's a majority.
it's a
Yeah.
majority, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be pretty crazy when it comes to businesses and for people who are linked and having these on their portfolios too. So just something to be aware of, guys.
Yeah, I think if you're in an area that has a lot of like local couples getting married, you should be fine. But if you're in an area where there's a lot of people that get married from out of state, for couples to come across these venues in their research is become going to become more and more difficult as time goes on. It sounds like.
Dang, here for it.
Yeah. But I mean, think about all the celebrities that have gotten married, like Blake Lively is
Hmm.
married here at a
Hmm.
plantation.
And she got canceled for it too, didn't she?
She did, yes, and, Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber got married down here at a plantation.
They did? They did not get canceled for that though, did they? I don't think anyone knew.
No, they intentionally did it, like, at a very private ceremony. Even though they had all these celebrity they kinda did it where it was, like, out of town, closer to Hilton Head area in a town called Bluffton.
Okay, we're seeing about a 40% decision-making lag across the industry. Couples are interested but not booking. Some high-level firms are responding with what they're calling the silent observation.
Silent observation is shadowing your own process without intervening or sitting in client meetings and not speaking for the first 5 minutes. The goal is to spot where couples feel emotional risk, the moments they don't mention in surveys.
This is how vendors are finding the exact friction points that stall their bookings. Yeah, we've talked about this before as well too. People are just kind of like observing, creeping, kind of in the background a bit before they start actually booking. Just really important to get out there, show your personalities, show your work, show trust, build trust.
This is reminding me of that TV show that they had, The Undercover Boss. Have you seen it? I know they
Hmm.
have it in Canada. Like,
Yeah.
you'd go into your own company and see what areas need to be improved. Is that what they're doing here?
No, what they're saying is that couples are just like liking and following all these photographers, but they're just in the background, kind of just like creeping and just kind of waiting for a bit until they actually start booking. But I guess, yeah, in a way, it's like undercover boss. You just kind of see how they work a little bit too.
So, if you're a vendor in what's called a host city, these cities are somewhere like Kansas City, Boston, Philadelphia, Atlanta, there's some shifts in the rental bookings that matter to you. Summer 2026 is already facing a massive supply crunch.
Vacation rental bookings are up 1,000% year over year for June and July. Hotel prices are averaging 55% higher than 2025. Room blocks are disappearing, minimum stay requirements are increasing, and guests who are flying in for one night are going to feel it.
This isn't just a travel issue, it affects guest experience, timelines, and how couples choose their vendors.
Interesting. Well, I didn't even know Kansas City was a host city.
Yeah, Kansas City is pretty big. I actually dated a guy from there, and it wasn't until I went to go visit him that I realized like how big of a deal Kansas City is.
Yeah, you're like, this isn't Midwest hell at all.
Oh, it's actually really nice. Yeah. I was like, I could see myself here. But no, actually they've got a lot going on. Like it's an area of the country that's developing. So it's kind of like one of those hidden gems, if you will, of the United States that hasn't quite been overdeveloped yet.
How do you think that, like, if you were a wedding planner, how do you protect, like, the guest experience when it comes to this?
I think part of it is having really good relationships with your local hotels and boutiques and Airbnbs. So that way you can know what their business trends are ahead of time and be able to set the proper expectations for your clients. So, for instance, if they're getting married on Super Bowl weekend in Kansas City 2 years from now, as long as you know that information, you can properly prep for it. Your hotel friends are probably going to tell you about it like, hey, this particular weekend is going to be packed, because of this, that, and the other.
Yeah, I feel like if you're at a hotel, maybe it's like a little bit more trustworthy where you can anchor in on that contract. But things like Airbnb can be like pretty shady. The owner can just cancel all of a sudden, which is pretty shitty as well too. Developing those relationships with those hotel managers is incredibly important for your business and having that guest experience.
Exactly.
Well, the industry is getting more complex and discovery is getting a lot smarter. Expectations are deeper. We're moving beyond just aesthetics and into relationship assets, ethics, and operational intelligence.
The only real question is if you're positioned for it.
If this episode made you feel slightly uncomfortable, that's the point. Thank you so much for tuning in to What Couples Want. We are so glad that you listened to us yap. And if you like this episode, please like, comment, share, and follow us at North and South Agency. We can't wait to talk to you guys again.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.